dum 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 dum
Space Between.
What is going on? This is the Space Between podcast where we talk about the space between life and art, passion and business, what's happening now and what's happening next. I'm Pat Shand, and next to me, I have Joe Corallo in this bitch.
Hello.
What's going on, man?
And I'm on your couch.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. In invading my home, okay?
It's true.
Now, I've known you for quite a while.
Yeah.
I'd say that you were one of my first comics friends, I think, right?
Yeah, probably. Probably like going back to like 2012 and
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much when I started.
Yeah.
I had my first gig in 2011, and then 2012 is when I was starting to push into comic stores.
Yeah.
And I went to Collector's Kingdom.
It was Collector's Kingdom. Yeah.
And a little Long Island spot that we still mourn to this day. It was a nice store, you know.
Yeah, no, it was really nice.
Went in there, and the guy in the front just asked me if I knew you. The answer was no, but soon after, that was not the case anymore.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's all happened. Yeah.
Definitely. And you're actually our first comics guest on this podcast. We've had,
Wow.
yeah, right? We had a bit of an interruption on our first live stream, but now we're back. The Space Between podcast. We have Joe Corallo in this motherfucker.
Woo, Joe!
So what I was saying before was that you're the first comics guest that we
that's
have
great.
here. We've had another Joe. We had Joe Buscarino, who's the host of the Not Without Nuance podcast. But you are the first fellow comics creator to join this comics podcast about pretty much anything but comics.
Oh, that sounds great.
So we're finally here, though, to talk a bit about comics and just want to find out who you are as a person, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Kind of feature you here for anyone who wants to follow you, okay?
I appreciate that.
Now, we met a long time ago at Collector's Kingdom, and I don't remember what books we were doing at the time. I know I was trying to get some of my early Zenoscope titles into their hands.
Yeah.
And you have been doing some indie stuff.
Yeah, I had self-published a cyberpunk comic with Danny Luckert called Electronic. Danny now does Recursion over at Image with... Regression. Sorry, not Recursion. Regression.
I was going to say, what's Recursion mean?
Recursion... I was thinking of the Doctor Who story, Castrovalvo, which was the first appearance of Peter David, and it's Davison, rather. Sorry.
I was about to say Peter David.
Yeah.
Recursion sounds like what I feel in the back of my throat when I eat fucking like Chinese food too late at night and go to sleep. And the shit bubbles up, you know.
No, I totally get that. But Regression.
Regression,
was written by Cullen Bunn. Okay. And I'm pretty sure Marie Anger does the coloring on that.
Okay.
So, small world.
So that's Cullen Bunn's 55th current book, right?
Yes.
God damn that dude.
Yeah.
He writes so much, man. That's the one guy like my I always wanted to be the guy who has books in every publisher.
Yeah.
Cullen Bunn's that guy, except Cullen Bunn has 30 books at every publisher. It's like, dude, that's a lot of Cullen Bunn, you know?
Yeah. And he got to write X-Men, which is pretty great.
It's true.
Not a lot of people get to write X-Men.
So you're the artist that you came up with is now doing Regression at Image with Cullen.
Yeah.
And you just announced a new book. And when this podcast drops, because right now we're live streaming a bit early just to get this in, and we're going to drop a bit later. But still, in previews right now for ordering is She Said Destroy.
Yes, through Vault Comics. It's it's in previews right now for issue 1. Yeah. We have the main cover by Liana Kangas, who's my co-creator and the artist on the book.
Yes.
And then there is a variant cover by Tim Daniel and Nathan Goodman, who what was it? It's a homage cover, homage cover of I think the second issue of Saga.
Yeah.
It's like it's part of, they have this whole line of vintage vault variant covers that they do for all the books they've done. References to like Watchmen and Sandman and stuff like that. So this particular one is dedicated to Fiona Staples. There's a whole nice thing written on the back of the cover about Fiona, and it's great. And I'm a big fan of Saga. I actually got a commission piece from Fiona at, I want to say, New York Comic Con 2011 or 2012, like right when Saga came out.
Yeah.
Like the trade had just come out, I think. And I got a head piece of Dr. Phosphorus. So it's just like the flaming skull.
Yo, you know what? You still had that, right?
I still have that framed.
That shows how much of a fan you are.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, one, I'll tell you guys this. I love Fiona's art. I love Saga. That shit is so in demand. I would sell it so quick, dude.
Yeah, no,
I would sell that shit so quickly.
Yeah, no, it's gorgeous.
Make a nice, keen $1,000. What? You know?
Yeah, and I also have a sketch from one con of what was it? Prince Robot IV.
Oh, nice, man. That's dope.
Because I love that, and I actually had Sean Von Gorman color it, so it really pops.
You have a color commission?
Yeah, I had him color it. After
That's
the fact,
intense.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's nice stuff. But yeah, all that stuff's really great. But yeah, She Said Destroy. Issue 1. It comes out May 29th in stores, but you should pre-order it to make sure your store carries it. Yes. And the final order cutoff on that is May 6th. So
let's role play. I'll be a casual customer, okay, and you be you trying to tell me how much you need to pre-order the shit, okay? So I'm in the store, and you overhear me talking like about, oh, this book from Vault looks pretty cool. I'll pick it up when I come to the store.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I'm Joe. I'm actually a co-writer of that series, and
What?
right, it's crazy.
What a crazy happenstance that you, the writer of the series, are here as I, the potential buyer, and talking about the series.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But what I really would need you to do, if you want to read this wonderful comic from the fine people at Vault Comics and myself and my co-creator Liana Kangas,
yes,
is to pre-order it with your store so they understand that there's a demand.
So I go to a website and I pre-order it?
You can pre-order it right with your local shop.
With verbal communication.
You might need to verbally communicate that.
God.
Yeah. And because you see, there are some characters, like let's say Batman or Spider-Man, for instance,
yes,
where people know that there's a demand for those characters. This is a new thing where a store might not know if there's any demand for it.
This seems like a kind of antiquated system designed to keep the corporation selling high and the indie guys selling low.
Yeah, I mean, capitalism is a nightmare that we'll never wake up from. But this is one way to feel a little better about ourselves.
I'll do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Pre-ordering is so important, but the shit it's so backwards, man. Like I had to push so many people to actually pre-order and talk what face to face. What? Talk face to face this year? That's crazy. But you gotta do it. It's if you don't talk face to face with someone and tell them that you want the book, chances are the indie book is not gonna show up there.
Yeah.
And I mean, Vault. I'm not sure what your plans with the book are, but I've seen books that sell well at Vault go on to continue the numbering, right?
Yeah.
And that could only happen, like, Joe's book can go on probably for longer if people go ahead and pre-order. Can you talk a bit, like, don't get too much into it, just
Sure.
leave some to be desired, but what is the book? Like, what's the story there?
Basically, it takes place in the far future. There's two pagan gods left, the Morrigan and Brigid, and it's all about
Pagan gods.
Pagan gods.
Oh boy,
it's pretty crazy. So it's a lot of space witches and castles floating in space and shit, and which is fun. I think that's fun. I
think it's fun,
castle ships flying through space and knights riding on beams of light. It's pretty great.
That sounds like a book that that's one of the coolest things about comics. I was just talking about this in our for those who are listening, it's about 5 episodes back. It's the Prison Witch commentary about how there are certain things that you can only really do in comics.
Yeah,
and that sounds like a thing that you can only do in comics unless you have millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's that's kind of part of what pushed this idea.
Yeah,
and I had talked with Liana about that and working on making sure we're doing something that was unique for comics and just going batshit.
Yeah.
Because why restrain it? Why make a spaceship that looks like every other spaceship? Why do sci-fi how people expect sci-fi to be? So we sort of just said fuck it and just really.
I like that, man.
Wild.
I like playing with expectations too, because I feel like, you and I talk about this personally, about how comics kind of leans into what you expect comics to be.
Yeah.
I like it when you're aware as a creator of what people expect from comics, and you just kind of do the opposite, because it's so easy to do what people want already.
Yeah.
But it's so much more original and cooler, I think, to show them something that they don't know they want yet.
Yeah. No, exactly, and it's a risk and it's a challenge.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of the only ways to sort of move forward, because if you're trying to do something that other people have been doing for a really long time and doing well, it's hard to really stand out.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that this book is going to give Liana a chance to shine too.
Oh my God, yes.
Because, dude, I feel like I don't want to get too much into the negativity here, but you always keep me in touch with what's going on in the comics industry. Because sometimes the shit gets ugly, and I don't want to see it. You know,
yes.
So you show me oh, hey, this is the digestible version of what's going on.
Yeah.
And there are some people that were kind of hating on Liana.
Yeah.
And Liana is one of the freshest new creators out right now.
Yeah.
And beyond just being immensely talented, just one of the nicest people.
Yeah.
And I think that Liana's current book, Black Devils Die, right?
Yeah.
That book is much more grounded as far as what's being shown. It's very street level. You see a lot of scenes in dimly lit areas, just actual showing what's happening on an actual street in a house. This is just so the opposite. It's so letting her kind of stretch her muscles and just. So I love the idea. Say, as a writer, you know this, man. I was stuck for so long writing fairy tales reimagined to be taking place in the current times with an edge.
Yes.
Dude, I was writing fucking 7 books of those a month.
Yeah.
And I wanted something different. So now I love the idea of doing something super grounded, street level, and contained, and then blowing it up in the next book to do something super fantastical, keeping it different every time keeps me so interested. So seeing Liana so early in her career do 2 books back to back that are so visually different, that's super cool to me.
No, awesome.
And how did you two link up, and how did you come up with doing this book together?
Yeah, well, we linked up in part really because of you bringing Liana in for the Mine anthology with Comic Mix. So.
So you would say publicly that I'm basically co-creator, right?
As long as it's not legally binding, yes.
Yeah.
But no. So
by the way, just to put it out there, I say this, I'm so kidding. I only had to say that to you guys, not you. But you guys, because some of you comics people are crazy. Okay, we watch you be crazy. Yeah. Okay. So, so me, you, and Liana co-created the book, and
yes, absolutely. in a non-legally binding sort of way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah. So then I met her in person at the Forbidden Planet signing we did for mine, which was. It was fun. Denny O'Neil was there. It was a really nice time.
Oh, nice.
Carl Potts came by.
Some celebrity action
yeah.
going, you know?
Yeah, some comic celebs were there. It was a good time. But no, so we met in person there. We've been keeping in touch. And I don't even know exactly why it ended up linking in like this. It was...
Yeah.
But Liana was the only artist I approached about this at all. I was just like, hey, Liana, I have this idea. And at the time, I didn't even, like, fully know what, like, Liana was interested in and, like, hobby-wise and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was just a total shot in the dark where I was like, do you like Sailor Moon and Final Fantasy and, like, Star Wars and stuff like that? And she was like, I love all of those things. And it ended up linking in really well. So yeah, so I had sent her the original sort of pitch, and you know, when she was getting her head around it, we were talking about sort of the character designs, this and that, and yeah, it really went. What was it? Yeah, everything she came up with was great. Like all the designs, like there really wasn't that much at all that we talked about and she designed and worked on that needed really any notes. You know, it really, like, we gelled really well. You know, we talked to Vault about it. You know, I initially reached out with Liana attached, and then Liana and I got to meet the crew together at San Diego Comic-Con this past July.
Oh,
and then
Me too, man. That's when I met those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude from Vault, Adrian, couldn't look more like the long-lost brother of James and David Franco. You know? Seriously. Like, I've worked for comics dudes before who look and act like trolls. But yeah, Adrian couldn't look more like, between his gig playing a like as a movie star, right? He's just making fun comics.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, since someone's asking, my Instagram is at Corallo Joe.
Yes, follow.
Follow me at Corallo Joe. It's CORALLO.
Yes.
JOE. And for Twitter, it's at Joe Corallo. So it's just one or the other. So you'll find me. I'm around.
Definitely.
I'm around. But yeah, so we met them there, and that's really when things started to click. You know, it took a few months or so to hammer out details, talk about stuff. Adrian's really hands-on as editor. Which is really great.
From when I've spoken to him, he seems so invested in the story.
Yeah.
And there are some editors who are that way, and you could just tell really that they want to have you write the story that they wish they had time to write.
Yeah.
Adrian is so the opposite. And Amy is here.
Whoa. I'm so happy because I totally forgot, even though he told me just yesterday that you were coming to help. So I went out, I got home from work, I saw the hand truck and no boxes.
Oh yeah, we forgot the hand truck outside. Everyone,
Are you guys already got the box? Oh, well, you guys are live.
we're live right now, yeah.
Shout out to the men of the house for bringing the boxes up before I fucking got home from work. Very good.
For those who need some context here, Joe is also helping me with Space Between stuff. He came over to help me bring in the Afterglow boxes because of an undisclosed problem that I have right now.
Nice.
Hey, Amy.
Chill out.
That kiss was actually her nose ring was in my mouth. Total miss.
It was only for show anyway, so.
It's true.
Just kidding.
And I'm petting a cat that's mostly off screen.
Yeah,
Kinda
let's
looks like
see.
you're stroking your own leg right now. You know?
Right?
Hey, Wes.
What's the Wesley?
Show yourself, Wes. There he is.
So what's are you guys just Space Between living?
Yeah, this is going to be episode 39. We're going to put this out while we're in San Diego.
And hey, Eric.
Eric Palicki says, sup, nerds. Now,
Hello.
is there anything that you can announce at all? Do you have anything else coming up? Or is there nothing that you can say quite yet about your future slate of books?
Well, I am working on editing another anthology with someone who may or may not be watching
Hello
right
out
now
there.
or paying attention.
Hello, strangers.
You know, but if they are watching and paying attention and wanted to say if it was okay if I mentioned something, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, if anyone involved in any potential projects is out there and wants to confirm that joke and talk about it, please do. But let's get off the topic of comics for a while, okay?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yes, please.
When you were a wee little boy, right?
Yes.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
It's funny. I'd always been interested in storytelling in some fashion. When I was in like third grade, I played a lot of video games. A lot. I would wake up early, usually around like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And before I had to get ready for school, I'd wake up at like 5, so I had like a full like hour and a half or so.
As a third
to just
grader?
play video games. Yeah.
God damn, that shows initiative. Because when I was a third grader, I didn't wake up alone. That was my mom's job, dude. That wasn't me at all, man.
Yeah, I'd wake up early, go downstairs, go into the den, and play video games until I had to start getting ready. And I will do it, Eric, after I talk about the origin of Joe.
Yes. We have Joe Corallo Origins by Jeff Johns. Let's go.
Nice. But yeah, so it was a lot of... I was really into like platformers, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mega Man, Mario.
Dude, I'm so video game illiterate.
Mm-hmm.
I know PlayStation and shit.
Yeah.
What does platformers mean?
It's just like, that's like the 2D shit where they're just running around and shooting stuff or jumping on things.
Oh, okay,
that
okay,
kind of
okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I played a lot of stuff like that.
Okay.
And that's also how I got into comics.
Yeah.
Was through the Sonic the Hedgehog comic books. It was Sonic the Hedgehog number 28 that my mom got me when I was with her at Kmart. And
so you were a fan of the game.
I was a fan of the game, and that's what got me into comics.
Yo, dude, I always talk about this, how people underestimate the power of a licensed comic.
Yeah.
That's just a gateway drug, man. Seriously. Like, we're living proof here. I write and read comics exclusively because I found out that Buffy was continuing through comics.
Yep.
That's it. And that led me to read Why the Last Man, Runaways, and then I was fucking hooked. Sonic, man.
Sonic, he can really move. Sonic,
Yeah.
he's got an attitude.
Did you see that new Sonic where he's like all hairy?
It's so disturbing to me.
It's so weird, man. Yeah, they launched this the visual of what Sonic is gonna look like in the movies, and I mean, like, as fan art, it would be okay if a bit creepy. How is that the regular one? How is that what you're going with? Like, one, if it wasn't animated, you can make it look more realistic. If it was animated, make it look much more cartoony. Like, why? It's so halfway between.
Yeah.
Like, so weird, man. Don't, like, whatever you would do, this is what you obviously don't do. You know, like, go one of the two ways. Don't like do a weird mix where it's like super hairy but still cartoony. You know?
Yeah, it was really weird. But and then I ended up getting a subscription of Sonic, just having it like mailed to the house back when that was like a common thing people did.
Wow.
And
so you're like 60, right?
About. And then
wow, Leslie.
Yeah, so I was doing that, and that's also why I will always think of Sonic when I hear Endgame. So like Avengers Endgame, I still think of, there was a Sonic miniseries between, I want to say, issues 47 to 50 called Endgame. And I remember I'm pretty sure the cover of issue 47 was like Princess Sally Acorn like falling off like some sort of cliff, and like Sonic being like, no, and that's like just like burned into my mind, and that's the only thing I can think of when I hear Endgame.
Yeah.
And
that's funny.
a total tangent, but yeah, so that also led to me getting into fan fiction in a way, because when I saw like, oh, there's like more Sonic that's like not in the games, and you know, I was watching the Sonic cartoons, and there were like 2 versions of the cartoon that were both voiced by Janelle White.
Urkel?
Yeah.
Whoa, yeah. What?
He was the voice of Sonic. He's still my Sonic.
Steve Urkel was Sonic.
He was Sonic.
Whoa. Now, did he sound cool or did he sound nerdy? Like, was he Steven or was he Stefan?
He was Stefan. I'm going to say it was Stefan.
Okay, man.
And
that's amazing. I had no idea.
Yeah, so he's still my Sonic the Hedgehog. And you know, it's a shame that he's not voicing Sonic in the movie.
I was going to say, great. What is he doing now? You know, like give Jaleel White some gigs, man.
Please do get him in the Sonic movie. That's awful that he's not. But yeah. But so then I got into a lot of sort of fanficky kind of things, like with this friend of mine from like elementary school, this kid Brian Rush, and me and him used to come up with like this sort of like fan fiction-y stuff, and we sort of combined Mega Man and Sonic the Hedgehog since we were both into those games. And I think Archie did do a Mega Man Sonic crossover a few years ago.
Got that shit from you, man.
Yeah,
it's
so
fanfic,
I was on top of that like decades before.
Definitely.
Before Archie did it, but
you know, man,
just saying.
You should write to Bleeding Cool about that.
I should. So we were coming up with these different characters.
Yeah.
And at first, I was like drawing a bunch of these characters.
Yeah. So you're writing and drawing.
Yeah, but I was drawing for a few weeks or so until I was like, this is not
right.
I can't do this. And then it was just turning into like writing and like, you know, swapping stories and sort of things like that. And
now, was it like just normal fan fiction, or be honest? Mm-hmm. Did you write some Sonic the Hedgehog erotica?
I actually haven't written a erotica like that.
You're hesitating, man.
No, like this is why I'm hesitating. I'm hesitating because while I didn't write it, I did perform once at Carmine Street Comics in Manhattan.
Okay.
They had sort of a like erotic fan fiction like reading.
Hey, okay.
I didn't write it. I read someone else's like I think it was a Spider-Man. Like, I think it was like a Spider-Man J. Jonah Jameson sort of slash fiction thing that I read.
I mean, the sexual tension fucking abounds.
Exactly.
You know?
But yeah, but I didn't write my own sort of erotic fan fiction. It was mostly just a combining sort of you know, combining those worlds. We had like it was like Mega Man and Sonic were teaming up against like. I think we had it as like Dr. Wily's daughter, and it was like Jean Wiley, and she was like a cyborg, and like I mean it was interesting stuff, you know, for the time. But yeah, so we had been doing that for a while, and you know, and then once I got into 5th grade, and again this was through my friend Brian.
So you're still in 4th grade here.
This was 4th grade into 5th grade.
It's pretty. I mean, so far what you've described is pretty ambitious for a kid, you know?
Right? But once I got into 5th grade, we got into like anime.
Okay.
Because they used to run Dragon Ball at 5:30 in the morning on Saturdays.
Oh,
not Dragon Ball Z.
No, Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball.
I remember.
And
like the General Blue saga and shit like that.
Yeah, like all the early stuff, and then at 6 o'clock in the morning during the week, they played Sailor Moon.
Oh, hell yeah.
And as a 5th grader, the way we had it set up in the den is we had like a big screen TV. It was like 36 inches.
Yeah.
And then a tiny TV off to the side to play video games on.
Okay.
Because, you know, no one wanted... You know, my parents didn't want, like... They want us, if we were going to play video games and not take up the big screen TV.
So late 90s, dude.
Yeah, so... So we're doing that.
Yeah.
And so I'd be, like, playing Sonic while watching Sailor Moon.
Whoa.
And shit like that.
Stimulation, man.
Right? I actually, and I tweeted this the other day because I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was watching Sailor Moon and a fan of that and understood a lot of the nuances in Sailor Moon before I knew what Star Wars was.
Oh, also, I mean, yeah, me 100% too.
Yeah.
And like, I had seen Star Wars, but I mean, not to offend everyone in the comics community besides you, but Sailor Moon is better than Star Wars, dude.
Sailor Moon is better than Star Wars. I'm going on the record. We're saying it.
Yeah.
Right here. Sailor Moon better than Star Wars.
I'd say Sailor Moon is much better than Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, Star Wars to me has always been good.
Yeah.
Like, as a kid, saw the movies, didn't connect to it that much, but I enjoyed them for what they were. And then, I mean, the one I most enjoyed was The Force Awakens now as an adult. And that made me want to go back to revisit the old ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sailor Moon I always fucked with heavy. So yeah, I'm totally with you.
No, I was big on that. I didn't see Star Wars until I was in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And I ended up watching, what was it? My great uncle Michael lent us his copies of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
I had seen A New Hope, but like he had those and lent them to us, and I ended up watching those like a lot.
Okay.
And same thing with Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. Like around that time, I was watching, a lot of that stuff. I remember 5th grade, going back to 5th grade, is when I first also watched Monty Python the Holy Grail. I watched that with my friend Brian, but his parents fast forwarded through like there was the one bit with Lancelot where all the girls were like after him. So it took I didn't know that scene was there until like a couple of years later when I watched it.
Oh, when you get the chance to watch it without that fast forward action.
Yeah.
How old were you when you saw Life of Brian?
Oh, I think I was in high school.
Man, that's my favorite one, man.
Yeah. No, I like that one. Yeah.
That biggest dickest scene, can't get past that shit. That's so fucking funny to me. So, did you picture yourself, like, because you were into the video games and you were following the comics and you were writing fanfic, did you see yourself as growing up to write video games?
I saw myself writing something.
Yeah.
But it wasn't... Like, I was reading the credits in comics, but, like, video games, it was, like, harder to wrap my mind around. Same thing with, like, TV and movies, because it's not like you don't pick up the game and it just says it right on the cover of the game where it's like, oh, these people did this. So, like, I knew, like, people had to make them, but I didn't understand, like, the nuances behind that. So I could only... at the time, think in terms of like prose, poetry, short stories, because that all made sense to me.
Yeah.
And in high school, I took a creative writing course, and I actually won my high school's creative writing award. Yeah. Before I graduated, I won the creative writing short stories award. So
fucking Eisner's watch out. He's been winning for years now, yo.
It's true.
Okay?
And senior year of high school as well, I was a national finalist in the Kids Philosophy Slam.
Hey,
I was
Kids Philosophy Slam.
Yeah.
What like meanings of life were you,
The question was actually, what is the meaning of life?
Well, I mean, all right, so how old are you now?
I was 17. I was 17.
Dude,
and
if a 17-year-old told me the meaning of life, I would shit on them.
Yeah.
Like, what did you say?
I wrote a really, it was this really, like, nihilistic take. It was just this whole, like, I'm pretty sure it opened with, there is no meaning to life, and it's naive to think such. Because, like, I wasn't expecting to win anything, or, like, I'm just going to write whatever, not write whatever, but I'm like, I'm going to be real. I'm going to be, like, what I think it is, because, I'm mostly informed by, like, emo anime at this point in my life.
It's a dark time, man.
Yeah.
I mean, 17 is hard, too.
Yeah, you know, it's very like, you know, I want to say there was a lot of Final Fantasy IX at this point in my life. Xenogears, I was big in that, and like that came out I think when a little younger, maybe when I was in 8th grade. But I kept replaying like that game, Chrono Trigger, on top of just Sci-Fi Channel at the time was doing. They did Saturday anime.
Okay.
And it was this like Saturday morning they would play like an anime movie.
All that dark anime, just brewing inside of you, right?
Yeah.
Mixed with like teenage angst too.
Yep.
And 17 years old, that's around the time that you're doing the fucking phosphor forms too, right?
Yeah. No, I was
hard times, man.
That I think that's also the year I saw Akira and Blade Runner.
So you just have all this shit brewing in you.
Yeah.
You know?
So all that stuff, and then and then I was picked as one of the 4 finalists in the country, and we had to fly out to some place in like remote Minnesota.
They flew you. So this is a big deal then.
Yeah.
So they flew your nihilistic ass out to Minnesota.
Yeah, to Minnesota, don't you know? Yeah.
So was anyone else there like you, or were they some like positive fucks?
Oh, they're pretty positive.
Oh my god.
It was pretty awful. But
this sounds like a fucking TV show, man.
Oh my god. So my dad flew out with me, and the teacher flew out too, Miss Way, who I'm still friends with on Facebook, but she's not watching.
What's going on with you, Miss Way?
Miss Way.
Come on, Miss Way. Come on.
But yeah, so flew out there. We got there like the day before. I remember we were staying at this like bed and breakfast that had like a VHS, you know, had, what was it? Yeah, there's VCR with the TV, and they had a couple of movies, including Meet the Parents.
Okay. My God.
And then I remember we went out to dinner, you know, the night before the thing.
You, your dad, Miss Way?
I think so. It might have just been me and my dad. I think Miss Way might have came later.
Okay.
And, you know, we were sitting for dinner, and the waitress comes over. She's like, I think she was like, you know, like 18 or 19 or something like that.
Okay.
Comes over, and my dad asks, like, oh, you know, what kind of, like, what beer's good? And she's just like, you know, like, oh, like, you know, I'm not old enough to drink. And my dad was like, it's cool. I'm not going to, like, rat you out or anything, just like what, and she's just like, I've never had a drop or anything like that, and we were just like,
I don't drink.
Then we were just like, this is a weird town. And but yeah, so I didn't win. The person who won was someone about like the meaning of life is like to, you know, overcome adversity. So there was no way I was gonna win.
Yeah, they can't let you win, man.
No,
because
exactly.
If you win, then there's no meaning to life.
Exactly. And they weren't ready.
Yeah.
They weren't ready. But you know what? With everything going on in the world now, they might be ready.
Yeah, 2019, if you were a 17-year-old you with that dark POV in 2019, you might win, dude.
I might have won, yeah.
Now, has your philosophy changed since your award-winning run as philosophy champ?
You know, you would think it would have a little bit, but no.
Still the same shit?
No, it's no me. It's stupid. It's, you know, enjoy it while you can, folks.
Yeah.
That's my bit.
My God. While you were telling the story, a collaborator of yours, Eric Palicki.
Yes. The Eric Palicki of No Angel
Of No
fame.
Angel from Black Mask Studios.
Yes.
A publisher we both know quite well.
Yeah, we both know them well. But and No Angel's available in trade paperback.
Yes.
Ask your local comic shop or pick it up online at fine places like Amazon.
Indeed. Eric has given you the go-ahead to talk about a project that involves the two of you.
Yeah, Eric and I are going to be co-editing a music-themed horror anthology called Dead Beats.
That's a sick title.
Right? It's going to be great. It's 2 words. It's stacked. Tim Daniel did the logo, and he also did the logo for She Said Destroy, and some art direction. He's really great. Lisa Sturl did the cover and is doing the main story for the.
Lisa's amazing too, man.
Yeah, Lisa's so good, and we've got a ton of amazing collaborators involved. One of the things I'm most excited about is because it's lining up with what's happening right now too. Is now that we have a Doom Patrol TV show, finally. I've been a big fan of Doom Patrol for a little while, but we have an original creative team from Doom Patrol reuniting for the first time in like 26 years.
What? Who is it?
Rachel Pollack and Richard Case.
Now, you and I have been talking about Rachel for a while. You have very much invested in her career.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. She's really great. She was the first out trans woman to write at the Big Two.
Yeah.
And and she's phenomenal. She created Coagula, the first, and I think she's still the only trans superhero in like the DC sort of like main universe.
Hey, nice. That's cool, man.
Yeah, not including I know there's a character in the Supergirl TV show who I don't think is in the comics yet, but I'm sure that'll change.
That's crazy. They should, yeah. I mean,
yeah, that'll definitely change if it hasn't already, or if it isn't already in the pipeline.
Yeah.
But yeah, and she had a 2-year run on Doom Patrol, and she worked with Richard Case, Linda Medley, who is non-binary. So at one point in like 1994, a trans woman and a non-binary person were telling the tales of a trans superhero at Vertigo, which is amazing.
It's true, and it's so easy for a lesser-known creator. That's a big title. But that just speaks volumes about how much the industry allows only certain names to really get traction. Like, Grant Morrison is huge.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that his run has so eclipsed, and like really, his run does define the title.
Sure.
But I think that you have a noble quest in making more people aware of not only Rachel's run here, but now Rachel's career post Doom Patrol, right?
Yeah. No, and she had another title, Time Breakers, which was 5 issues at the Helix imprint at DC. But her and Chris Wesson, the artist, they have the rights. So I'm working on trying to bring that back into print as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and Rachel and I are talking about collaborating on some stuff, and she actually she had a short comic in a recent Ahoy anthology, the Edgar Allan Poe tales that they've been doing.
Oh, cool! Yeah, I'm interested in what Ahoy is doing.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, no, they're great, and Tom, the editor-in-chief over there, Pyre, he was the editor on Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol into Rachel's run, and he's worked on a lot. He's worked on a lot of great stuff over the years too. Yeah. He might not say that, but I think he definitely, more than anything, Tom wants you to check out Ahoy Comics. But if you're interested in his DC stuff, I think he always recommends like his Dr. Fate run. I think he really likes that run. But Rachel
check that out,
yes, please. And Rachel and Richard, first time in 26 years, and they're collaborating again in Deadbeats, and I think that's really awesome.
So to wrap up Deadbeats, when can people expect that to launch? And this podcast is going to go live in early April. Is it already launched? When will that launch?
We're launching April 9th.
Okay, so check in the description below. If it is past April 9th, the link is in the description. Go there and pledge to it on Kickstarter. We were talking about Eric's work at Black Mask.
Yeah.
Right? Speaking of Black Mask, you're doing work with them right now.
Yes.
As editor on Oh Shit, It's Kim and Kim.
Yes.
And we both know Mags.
Yep.
Mags is the writer of Kim and Kim and has been since the. She created the series, co-created it.
Yep.
And it's now been going on. There were 2 minis, right? And this is now an ongoing series.
Yeah. We wrapped the first 5 issues. What was it? I think issue 5 hit stores beginning of February.
Nice.
So we're working on getting the trade out and then going from there. But this is going to be a bigger trade because they've all been 4 issues. The last 2 were 4 issues.
Yeah.
This is going to be 5 issues.
And Black Mask prints some beautiful velvety trades too. Seriously.
Yeah, so
Beautiful
it's going to
work.
be great. We're working on putting that together. This 5-issue run, it did get nominated for a GLAAD Award for Outstanding Comic Book. So who
listen,
knows?
best philosopher of 2000
It was like 2003.
2003, GLAAD Award nominee. The fuck you got going on? Okay,
Exactly.
just scooping up the awards. Philosophy, gladness. Okay.
Lots to be glad about.
Now,
But
how is it working with Mags? Mags. I remember when Kim and Kim first came out, there was such buzz on it, and it's pretty cool. It's all still going on years later,
Yeah.
And you took over with the first issue of the ongoing, right?
yeah, it was me and Katie Rex had started, the initial launch of it. So I worked a little bit with that, and took it from there to keep some continuity and all of that. But she, the series, probably wouldn't be here without Katie. So I definitely want to give her, the proper credit.
You are too kind.
Well, it's, she edited the first 2. Miniseries and all of that. But yeah,
Joe really is like one of the nicest guys in comics. And I mean, comics is. I mean, I don't see it as this way, but I think a lot of people see comics as a very competitive field, like vying for different gigs. What I like about you is that you always big up everyone. You give credit where credit's due. You always look for the best in people, and that's awesome.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, no, it's great working with Mags on Kim and Kim. She's we got a good thing going and all of that, and everyone on the team, Ava Cabrera, Claudia, Zach.
Oh hell yeah! I'm a big fan of that whole team, man.
Yeah.
I've worked with Claudia in the past. Claudia did a short on Destiny New York, and she's the colorist on Kim and Kim, right?
Yeah, she's the colorist. Yeah.
And beyond being a colorist too, she's an amazing artist.
Oh, absolutely.
And if I'm wrong, correct me because you'll know. Mags and Claudia have a book together where Claudia's doing the interiors now too, right?
Yeah. No,
At
it's
Oni Press.
Yeah, at Oni Press. The first issue came out this week, so I don't know exactly when this is going up, but the first issue is already out. No matter when this is out.
So for those listening, this is about a month earlier. So issue 2 is probably, if not out, on the way out, I'd say.
Yeah, I want to say it's Morning in America is the title. It's a bit of an 80s throwback, a little bit of Stranger Things kind of thing. Yeah, so yeah, definitely check it out if you're a fan of Mags or Claudia. If you like the kind of kind of YA kind of stuff that like Oni does, and and they're great, and they put out some stuff I really love too. So.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
And let's end with this. You are a force of positivity in comics, and I find the comics industry to overall these days lean a bit toward the negative and just kind of be an aggressively competitive force. So I want to ask you, what do you see in the comics industry that you think does need change?
I mean, I think, it's
Puts you right on the spot, man.
No, it's fine. It's just I think it's a lot of the other sort of problems that are kind of everywhere, where a lot of it is social media driven, and a lot of it is like jumping on a bandwagon and seeing this without like necessarily having all the facts or information. Assuming the worst. There are definitely real problems. There, like any other industry, there are abusers. There are people that take advantage of up and coming talent, and those are important conversations to be having.
Yeah.
But sometimes like things get a little crazy about things that aren't as pressing. Right. They're either not as pressing or they're things that can be solved by simply having a private conversation.
Oh, do I ever fucking agree? Yo, yeah.
No, yeah. And I do get that there are instances where someone tried to have a private conversation, it didn't work, and then they're coming forward, and that's different.
Yes.
I'm not saying, and I'm not assuming that every situation they haven't reached out first before coming forward, but yeah. I also know plenty where I know for a fact no one has. So yeah, like that kind of stuff. It's like, that stuff does need to be dealt with, and also just like if you're out there saying you're trying to do well and promote people and push people and be positive, do all those things.
Yes,
because sometimes you get people who might say that, and then it's all about canceling people or this and that, or I'm never going to read a book from DC again because they killed my favorite character, that kind of stuff. And it's like, all of that needs to, I know that, like there were some instances, I think it was the other week, where Donny Cates was getting a lot of flack because he wasn't interested in shipping Eddie Brock and the symbiote.
Oh my God, I saw that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not even scared to say that. That shit is crazy. I see that shit, and I think that people just need to grow up. Like, you shouldn't be able to interact with humans once you get to a certain level, I saw some of the comments that Donnie gets are insane.
Yeah.
Like, I always wonder, how did that person make it this far in life? Like, how do they go outside and not get blasted by a car immediately? Like, how do you not know how to interact so much, but you know how to just walk across the street? That's crazy to me, It seems that that some of the people who complain about those things, it's like, how do you make it, dude,
Yeah, so some of that stuff. And again, it doesn't have to be like, we all don't have to be fake nice to each other all the time. No. It's like, you don't have to do that, but it's like, being like, there's a difference between that and being cordial and, picking your battles kind of thing. Because another thing you run into is if you're always on the attack about everything, it diminishes what you're saying.
I agree. Yeah, and I don't like when people assume the worst about a situation they have no information on, and with no context about someone in their community who they might even know.
Yeah.
Like, reach out first. Because here's the thing. If you put a negative tweet out there, even if you delete it and apologize, which so rare, right? The double whammy of delete and apologize. But if you delete and apologize, that shit is still there. Because guess what? I'm a fucking sniper. I'm not here with the fucking screenshot. Bow! As soon as you're negative on Twitter, I see you, bow, screenshot, okay? I got you. And there are other people out there like your boy, okay? So, a direct message saying sorry after the fact, that shit is fucking air. That's nothing. Think before the fact, because once you put something out there, that exists out there in the world. And if you create negativity with no context, no nuance about someone who is on your side, someone who is in your community, who you can reach out and talk to like a human being, you're being a bitch ass. Just reach out and talk to them, Don't be a piece of shit, okay?
Yeah, no.
Talk to people. Because here's the thing. When a comics creator is a real piece of shit, they expose themselves like that, okay? It's, all they need to do is have a Twitter, right? And very quickly, they expose how shitty they are.
Yeah, I mean, I do think we're starting to see more people, like, take a social media break and, like, backing off on some stuff because it is intoxicating.
Yeah.
And it is like you get involved and it is good. And you do think you're doing, good, or you're doing this, or you're looking out for people. And
some people.
Yeah. And in some cases, and even maybe a lot of cases, they are. But like, it's, it's, just being considerate and thinking like, is this something I'd say to someone's face, and that kind of stuff, because, it is a small community. We all have to see each other at shows and this and that too. And it's like, we can like get along to a certain point. And obviously there are certain people that you don't need to be like, oh, we all need to get along, like, it's not about that. And you can also be cordial with people that you're not friends with and don't want to be friends with. Like, it's cool.
Oh, for
not
sure.
everyone needs to be friends with other people in comics. And I think that also turns into a thing where it's like, oh, this person doesn't want to be my friend, so screw them. And it's like, not everyone is into each other, and it's just be cool.
I mean,
just be cool.
It's perfectly fine to follow what the great philosopher Aubrey Graham said: "No new friends, no new friends, no new." But what I'll add to that too is like, I've seen you get harassed online before, and I think that the people who are negative to you, or negative about comics in general, negative about certain kinds of creators, that person, they were always going to expose themselves. That person is an asshole at heart. And they didn't need to get called out because they called themselves out by being the worst. And I'd say that the people who are truly bad at heart are always going to be called out because they're always just going to be pieces of shit immediately, But I think that if it's more of a situation like, I think what you're talking about is if someone who means well, and another person who means well, if one of them misinterprets an action or a book or a statement, I think it's more like that because there are true pieces of shit out there too.
Oh, sure. I mean, I've had issues too where it's like, posting about like something political. I mean, I was a political science major in college. I've worked on political campaigns. Yeah. I have opinions on that stuff. And like, sometimes even if it's something that I don't think is that controversial, it turns into a thing. Yeah. And people come out of the woodwork and it's a problem. Yes. I might have an opinion on a Star Wars movie that I think is really minute. Yeah. Like, what was it like? Yeah, I remember, like, I think it was when Rogue One came out, I posted something on Facebook about how, what was his name? Donnie Yen? I want to say the actor.
I don't know.
That like, oh, they're casting this person to help, with the, the overseas movie sales.
Sure.
And that turned into a whole thing. And it was just like, I thought that was just like a pretty basic observation. Like, I wasn't, so like, so yeah, like, it's not like, I don't know. It's like, you don't have to like wait around to try to catch everyone being an awful person.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And plus, like, the context of you, right? If someone saw a post by you that they didn't agree with, a quick look into you, the books you work on, the people you defend, will show them a complete picture of who you are, right? Where if you were to post that and they go to your wall or your feed and they see that you're retweeting a bunch of people who are saying negative things about queer people who are saying negative things about people of different races, that's a different story.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, like that person is not someone who I would DM like, hey, I just wanted to check in to see what you meant before talking shit. If you're a piece of shit, it's pretty easy to tell that you're a real piece of shit. But with someone like you, where like, say someone will disagree with you on one post, once they have the full picture of who you are, they should see that you aren't who they're trying to peg you as.
Sure.
You know?
And also, it's people can disagree on things without the other person being an awful person.
Except this new Sonic thing, dude. Like,
absolutely. This is insanity.
Like, listen, if you think that new Sonic is acceptable, and I'm not even like, I have no ties to the franchise personally. Besides, like, now as your friend, I want it to be good for you, you know.
Yeah.
But, dude, like, if you don't think it's creepy, what's going on?
This is a Lovecraftian nightmare.
It's so weird.
This Sonic.
Like Sonic, like. Maybe make him a little bit more cuddly, man. The hair looks so bristly. What's good with that? You know, what's going on with that?
It's so weird. And like Jim Carrey is Dr. Robotnik.
Okay,
that's a whole thing.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and I'll never forget on Nick Arcade.
Yeah,
which was another show I used to watch when I was a kid. Whenever the contestant had to play Sonic, the host of Nick Arcade would always refer to Robotnik as Robonick. And it drove me crazy.
Oh, I bet you were so pissed.
I was not happy about that.
So pissed.
You know, it was not a good time.
So, we've covered your Sonic love.
Yes.
Your Sonic pet peeves.
Yes.
We have a pretty full picture of who you are at this moment, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, how do you want to say goodbye to the people? Because we do no outros here, but I want to give you a last chance to say anything that you want to say. You could like say like things you have coming up. You could like rate all of my comics on a scale from 9 to 10. You could tell them to follow me only. You know, what do you have on your mind?
All right. Well, I know I mentioned this a little earlier, but on Twitter, I'm at Joe Corallo.
Follow, please, yes.
And on Instagram, I'm at Corallo Joe.
And all that is in the description down below on YouTube and SoundCloud as well. If you're listening on iTunes, how about you pause the fucking podcast, okay? Listen to what the man said. Go on your Twitter app and follow him. And then Instagram, you said too?
Yeah, I'm also on Instagram.
Go on Instagram too. Why not? You know, support comics creators. If you don't like Joe after this podcast, who are you, okay?
Exactly. Also, pre-order, She Said Destroy, issue 1, final order cutoff is May 6th. Yes,
indeed. I'm pre-ordering, and you should too. The book looks awesome. I'll even include any like preview or announcement stuff in the description down below. It's gonna be filled with links, all leading back to this guy right here, Joe. Thank you for being our guest on the Space Between podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Amy, come here. I just want Amy to say goodbye to you guys too.
Nice.
She's here. Special appearance by Amy. To say goodbye right here. Oh, here she comes.
Bye, everybody.
Brushing her teeth. Those pearly whites in this bitch. Good night, everybody.
Space between.